The winter wind cut through downtown Chicago like a knife, turning the evening air into something cruel and unforgiving. Daniel Hayes sat huddled against the brick wall of a closed bookstore, his threadbare coat doing little to protect him from the cold. His cardboard sign, written in shaky letters, read, "Homeless veteran. Anything helps. God bless." 53 years old, and this is where life had brought him. Daniel had once worn a different uniform, an army uniform. He'd served 2 tours in Afghanistan, come home with medals and memories he wished he could forget. But the transition to civilian life had been brutal. The nightmares came first, then the drinking to silence them, then the divorce, the lost jobs, and finally, the streets. Tonight, Daniel counted the few bills and coins in his worn coffee can. $5.37. It had been a particularly slow day. His stomach growled, reminding him he hadn't eaten since yesterday morning when someone had given him half a sandwich. As the evening crowd thinned, Daniel noticed a young woman standing near the bus stop, crying softly into her phone. She couldn't have been more than 25, dressed in a waitress uniform with a name tag that read Sarah. Her shoulders shook as she spoke, her voice carrying just enough for Daniel to hear fragments. "I know, Mom, I know. The hospital won't wait. I just don't have it. I'm so sorry." Sarah ended the call and slumped against the bus stop pole, burying her face in her hands. The sobs came harder now, the kind that shook your whole body. Daniel knew that kind of desperation. He'd felt it himself many times. He watched as Sarah checked her wallet, pulling out a few singles and some change. She counted it twice, then a third time, as if hoping the amount would somehow multiply. When it didn't, she let out a sound somewhere between a laugh and a sob. Something stirred in Daniel's chest, a feeling he hadn't experienced in a long time. Compassion, connection, the need to help. He looked down at his coffee can, at the $5 that represented his dinner, maybe breakfast too if he was careful. He thought about the sandwich he could buy at the bodega 2 blocks down. His stomach growled again in protest, but then he looked at Sarah, at the raw desperation on her young face, and he made a decision. "Excuse me, miss?" Daniel's voice was rough from disuse. Sarah looked up, startled, wiping her eyes quickly. "I'm sorry, I don't have any change." "No, no," Daniel interrupted gently, pushing himself to his feet with effort. His knees protested, stiff from the cold. I heard you on the phone. I know it ain't much, but..." He held out the $5 bill, his hand trembling slightly. Sarah stared at the money, then at Daniel, then at his cardboard sign. Her eyes widened. "No, no, I can't. You need this more than I do." "Please," Daniel said softly. "I been where you are." "That sound in your voice, I know that sound. Whatever you're going through, this might help, even if it's just a little." "But you're..." Sarah's voice broke. "I'll be all right," Daniel lied. "Please, let me do this one good thing today." Tears spilled down Sarah's cheeks as she slowly took the $5. "My mom, she needs medication. Her insurance won't cover it until next month. And I just started this job. And I don't get paid until Friday. And she's in so much pain." The words tumbled out between sobs. Daniel nodded. "I understand. You take that. You help your mama." Sarah clutched the bill like it was made of gold. "Thank you. Thank you so much. I don't even know your name." "Daniel." "Sarah, and I promise, Daniel, I'll pay you back. I'll come find you." "Don't worry about that," Daniel said, settling back down against his wall. "You just take care of your mama." Sarah's bus arrived, but before she got on, she turned back one more time. "God bless you, Daniel, really." As the bus pulled away, Daniel pulled his thin coat tighter and tried not to think about how hungry he was. He'd done the right thing. He knew that, but rightness didn't fill an empty stomach. That night was one of the longest Daniel could remember. The temperature dropped below freezing, and sleep came in fitful minutes rather than hours. By morning he was exhausted, frozen, and so hungry he felt lightheaded. He was just considering walking to the church. 3 miles away, they served breakfast on Thursdays, when a shadow fell over him. "Daniel Hayes?" Daniel squinted up at the man standing before him. Tall, maybe 40, wearing an expensive overcoat and polished shoes that probably cost more than Daniel had seen in a year. "Yeah?" Daniel replied warily. My name is Michael Bradford. I'm an attorney. I've been looking for you for 6 months. Daniel's confusion must have shown on his face because Michael quickly continued. Your former commanding officer, Colonel William Foster, passed away 8 months ago. Before he died, he changed his will. He left you something, Mr. Hayes. The world seemed to tilt. Will? Will Foster died? Michael nodded solemnly. I'm sorry. He spoke very highly of you in his will, said you saved his life in Kandahar, that he never forgot it. He wanted to make sure you were taken care of. Daniel's eyes burned. Colonel Foster. The man had become like a father to him during his service. They'd lost touch after Daniel's discharge, and in his shame, Daniel had never reached out. He left you his property in Wisconsin, a small house on a lake, and a sum of money. $50,000, Mr. Hayes. Daniel couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. There's more, Michael said gently. I've been searching for you for months. Your last known address was 3 years old. I'd almost given up, but last night, I got a call from a young woman named Sarah Mitchell. She said she'd met you yesterday, that you'd helped her in a moment of desperation. She'd been so moved by your kindness that she went online, posted your story, and asked for help finding you. The post went viral. I saw it this morning. Michael pulled out his phone and showed Daniel. There was Sarah's post with a picture she must have taken from the bus. It had over 100,000 shares. The caption read, "This homeless veteran gave me his last $5 when I was crying about my sick mother. While people with everything walked past me, he gave me all he had. Help me find Daniel and give back." Below were thousands of comments, people offering help, people sharing, people crying. And there Michael's comment, "I'm his attorney. I've been searching for him. He has an inheritance waiting." Daniel's hands shook as he read. "That $5, Michael said quietly, changed everything. Your kindness to a stranger in need brought you back to the people who'd been searching for you." 3 months later, Daniel stood on the porch of his new home in Wisconsin. Well, not new. Colonel Foster's house was over 60 years old, but new to him. The lake stretched out before him, peaceful and still in the morning light. He'd used part of the money to get clean, to get help for his PTSD, to rebuild. He'd reconnected with his daughter, who he hadn't spoken to in 5 years. They were taking it slow, but she'd agreed to visit next month. The rest of the money he'd put into a foundation, the Foster Hayes Veterans Fund, to help homeless veterans get back on their feet. And Sarah? She'd become like family. She visited often with her mother, whose medication was now covered thanks to a new job with better insurance. Sarah had finished her nursing degree and was working at the local VA hospital. On his kitchen table was a frame. Inside was that viral post, and next to it a quote Daniel had written himself. "The measure of our humanity is not in what we have, but in what we give when we have nothing left to give." Daniel smiled as the morning sun warmed his face. He'd given $5 and received a life. But more than that, he'd learned that even in our darkest moments, we have the power to be someone's light, and sometimes the smallest act of kindness can change everything. The end. Message: no matter how difficult your circumstances may be, never lose the courage to help others. What we give comes back to us multiplied. Perhaps not immediately, but it always returns. Daniel gave away his last $5 because he valued humanity more than his own hunger. And it was this pure intention that transformed his entire life. Remember, it's never too late to do good, and even the smallest help can change someone's world.